have breaking news right now in Monterey Park.
That's right. Stu Mundell is live over a pursuit. Stu.
Well, it's a slow-speed pursuit, that's for sure. It's a pickup truck. Now, East LA Sheriff's basically picked this vehicle up around Garfield earlier on this evening. It was reckless driving was the original one. The vehicle got on the freeway, made its way east, got off the freeway, got back on the freeway, and this is where we see it now. Now, the Sheriff's Department is working with CHP. We understand that they actually gave the pursuit over. That's a technical term where they gave the pursuit over to CHP. They are now in charge of this vehicle. We are on the the westbound 10 East LA area. We were getting very close to the 710, but very slow speeds for the freeway. The roads are wide open. This vehicle is now, as we're getting a look at it, I was told it was a white pickup truck. Now I believe it's either a white Tahoe or a Suburban, but again, he's only going about 40 miles an hour. Now, CHP has placed their vehicles behind it there. You can see them. Other ones actually have been creating blockage on the freeway to keep other vehicles away. Possibly they're going to use a pit maneuver, even though this is a larger vehicle. This would be the perfect spot for them to do it with a wide open freeway. Again, though, right now they're just fun of be following him. Hopefully he'll decide to yield. But again, reckless driving, the original one out here as we're working our way westbound on the 10 freeway at speeds about 40 miles an hour, entering the East LA area right now. Pat, Paul?
And Stu, what time did you say this thing started? Was it just a short while ago, or did I actually hear this afternoon? It couldn't have been this afternoon.
We actually, we actually heard this right when we were starting to do our hit on the La Cienega road closure. We actually heard them in pursuit. So we know that it was probably right about the top of the hour, 11 o'clock. As soon as we were done there, we worked our way over here. They were eastbound, though. They were going away from us. The driver got off the freeway, got back on, and you see him here now westbound, but, slow speeds, not crawling along the freeway, but definitely not flying down the freeway like you would expect somebody to do, trying to get away from officers. Again, we're still staying on the 10 freeway. You can see those speeds there, relatively slow, not doing anything extremely reckless except for blocking traffic and inconveniencing other drivers right now. CHP definitely in pursuit. The Sheriff's Department was the lead originally. It started on the roads, I believe off of Garfield, and he worked his way from Garfield onto the freeway. They followed him down the freeway. I believe they got off farther down the way there. I'm not sure what the off-ramp was, but they did make a U-turn, got back on the freeway. The Sheriff's Department contacted CHP. They made the handoff, and now you see that's a CHP unit that's following him. Others are blocking them, and again, the original one for this guy is just going to be reckless driving. But right now, he's adding up his felonies as he's working his way here, failing to yield and creating all this havoc here on the 10 freeway as they basically shut it down to allow this pursuit to go on.
Well, interesting, Stu. Since you've been following this driver, have you noticed him doing anything, quote, reckless? I'm talking about like presenting a danger, running stop signs, running red lights when he was on the road earlier, or is this just he's been keeping this pace primarily since you've been following him at the top of the hour?
He's basically just kept this pace here. 40 miles an hour is basically what we're hearing. He's been working his way westbound. We thought possibly he would get off at Garfield. We've seen a lot of these pursuits. They basically go back to where they started or an area where they know. It started out of Garfield. When we picked it up, it was a long shot, but we figured, he's probably just going to get back onto Garfield. Now he's got an option. He's probably going to, looks like he's transitioning onto the 5 freeway. I'm going to go a little bit wider here so we can see, but possibly he's going to be making his way onto the 5. He's just been driving extremely slow. I wouldn't call this reckless at any means, possibly impaired, as you see him only doing 40 miles an hour on an open freeway, and you obviously have reds and blues flashing in your rearview mirror. So again, officers not sure what they're dealing with exactly. That's what presents the problem and the danger to the officers. Again, he's basically just moving along here at 40 miles an hour. CHP is making plans. We hear him talking about possibly doing something to bring this to an end. Again, looks like he's going to be taking the 5 freeway in the East LA area, but we're going to keep an eye on it here. We'll let you know what he's going to do. But as far as it being reckless, Pat, the only thing I could say is possibly impaired, as he's just driving 40 miles an hour, leading on a lot of officers on this pursuit.
And Stu, I mean, we can see from the pictures here, because they're running a brake behind him, they've slowed that traffic down, and the traffic that was in front of him was presumably maintaining freeway speeds, so there hasn't been much in front of him either.
Well, definitely not. And we've seen a lot of the officers blocking the on-ramps and actually getting on, joining this pursuit. I believe we're getting off at Soto right now, so we'll see which way he's going to be turning, but I'm pretty sure this is a Soto off-ramp that he's taking. Looks like he's going to be making a right turn. He's got red lights. He's just making the turn. CHP still following him. I'm going to go a little bit wider as we just get some of these officers.
They're doing something
where they're going. Oh, there they go. Yes, we're going to try. Oh, yeah, they did make contact, was unable to make that move. We're going to maneuver the helicopter around here so we can actually see it, but that got this guy going. You saw that. Now that the officers made that move, thank you, Pat, for pointing that out. He's really seeming to pick up his speeds here. Now we're on Soto, northbound, but he's putting some distance between him and the officers. I don't know if it was the fact that SUV is a little bit heavier. We did see him make contact, but he was unable to spin that vehicle around, bring it to a stop.
Well, clearly, if he didn't know they were behind him, and I mean, with the lights flashing, he certainly, or she certainly knows it now, seeing that they did make this physical contact with this vehicle.
Definitely, and now we're getting into these smaller streets, a lot tighter of an area. Bumpy, you can see that right there, that SUV bouncing around as it made that one going across that intersection. Again, this is becoming a little bit more dangerous as he's on these smaller roads. If he was impaired, and look, it's like he's turning into either an alleyway or an apartment building. He might be trying to make his way home. Again, extremely dangerous as officers don't know what he's doing. And again, as he's driving around in these type of circles, it might be amusing to watch, but it presents a real problem for officers. And you can see him here, just looks like he's pulling into a parking spot. Officers from the CHP, they do have their weapons out. And again, looks like he's just coming to a stop here in the East LA area.
They need to be very careful with this. With those heavily tinted windows, it is difficult to see inside that vehicle.
Definitely, and at first they were talking about possibly, it being a female driver. We're going to find out here in just a moment. We didn't want to report that, but it looks like it's a male. One person by himself. He is seeming to comply. Maybe a little confused on what to do here, but officers are definitely talking to him. You can see that he's got the door open. He is complying, hands out. And it seems like he's going to be doing the compliance. But again, like you said earlier, tinted windows, large vehicle, they don't know what they're dealing with. They don't know why this guy didn't want to stop. And maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was somebody else in the car that was presenting the problem. So again, officers very cautious at this moment. This guy doing what he's supposed to do, but again, very slow moving as we've seen through this whole pursuit. I'm just going to go a little bit wider to show you the officers that are here on scene. I see some officers with less than lethal weapons out, but all the other officers have their actual weapons pointed at this guy right now, and he is, again, slow to react, but seems to be doing as told.
Now, yes, both hands up. Turning around,
get him on the ground.
and we'll get. Oh, well, it seemed to have pulled up.
I'm sure the officer was.
Shirt or something.
Yeah, we're just showing him, telling him to. See, exactly. They're just checking to make sure because he's wearing this thick clothing, but they're telling him to lay down there on the ground. We'll see some officer, probably CHP, because they were in the lead here. They're going to make their move here and take him into custody, crossing his legs so he's unable to make any kind of quick moves. But again, they're going to basically tell him to lay down, or one of the officers is going to approach and cuff him. Again, if there is anybody else in the car, they're probably making calls for that person right now. We're not seeing that. I haven't seen any other doors open up or any other movement in the vehicle. Again, officers taking their time because they don't know what they're dealing with. You can see them walking backwards now to the officers. I'm sure that was what they told them to do, and we'll see if they take him into custody as they should here in just a moment.
All right, Stu. Well, we're trying to see again if someone else is in the vehicle and when the officers actually take custody of this individual, which they have not yet. And as you mentioned, this person has complied since he exited the vehicle. But in a way, to me, it's interesting that they have not. There they go. They're looking for someone else, possibly, Stu.
Yes, definitely. That's the international sign for it's all clear. That's a code 4. And, again, they're still cautious with this guy. They haven't taken him into custody yet, but I'm sure they will here in a moment. There's no way they're just going to say, hey, nice driving, we're going to let you go. So, it's all coming to an end. Reckless drivers, what this all started with, led police on a long pursuit out here, bringing it to an end in East LA in an apartment building. Presumably maybe where this guy lives, or perhaps this is just where he got stuck. But CHP taking this guy into custody as we speak.
Yeah, he certainly seemed to be familiar with the parking lot at least. We can only assume he lives there. But code 4 on that one. Thank you, Stu, very much.
All right, thank you, Stu.